Thank you for joining us for this special live stream in our ongoing missing series here at NewsNation. Each week, we highlight one of the many missing person cases from across the country, and there are thousands. I wish we could get to every one of them. Today, we are turning our attention to the disappearance of Alinka Castaneda. She is a 16-year-old girl from Southern California, and in a moment, I'm going to be talking with a retired detective who is working with the family on this case and looking into it himself on his own time. And you're going to have an opportunity to be part of that conversation, ask him some questions about the investigation as well. So make sure you're watching closely. Come with your questions. You're an important part of this process at home, the social media army, I like to say. First, the case, though. There have been 3 disturbing phone calls from Alinka, from this missing teenager, back to her family that make this an urgent case. And the family, as a result, is desperately searching for her because they fear something sinister has happened. Again, she's 16 years old. Alinka walked away from her family's home in California New Year's Day, 4 months ago, approaching 5. And while her brother thought perhaps this was a first ever short-lived attempt to run away, as more time goes on, their concern grows. And these chilling phone calls of distress proving that she may in fact be in danger. Here now, a closer look at Alinka's case.
We're here to give you an appreciation video.
A grateful teenager, a rare find, and an ever so slight eye roll at her emotive mother. Well, that's Teenage 101.
I didn't even know the video existed.
It all cuts a big brother to the bone.
We love you, and you are probably one of the best things that has happened to this family.
Alan Taruno fears this will be the last video his 16-year-old sister secretly records on his phone.
Adios.
Like, one of the hardest things to do is like watch someone that you love and you are so desperate to find this video of them.
Okay, Mom, tú dile. Hola, mi amor.
Alinka Castaneda left her family's home in Carson, California just at sunrise on the very first dawn of the new year. Caught on a neighbor's camera, her family hasn't seen her again.
I'm fearing the worst, but I'm praying for the best.
Private investigator Moses Castillo is donating his time to help find Alinka.
Estoy aquí con Marcela, la mamá de Alinka.
Together with her mother, they've knocked on doors, passed out flyers. Castillo, a retired sex crimes detective with the Los Angeles PD, organized an emotional press conference, using his connections to get the word out.
As far as talking to individuals that people were pointing towards, or even a residence, we door knocked it, and all those clues did not pan out.
Indeed, the case's best clue yet has come directly from the missing girl.
The initial call, I think that was like the turning point of this case.
The teenager called her younger sister America. Her words brief and chilling.
She sounded panicked. She sounded scared. And in her words, she said that she wasn't able to leave her location, that they weren't allowing her to leave pretty much.
Alinka and her sister are close, sharing a tidy bedroom full of the hallmarks of adolescence. It also holds clues. Alinka took no clothing and left her phone. The family believes she thought she'd be returning quickly.
It seems to me like it's someone that she might have known through internet, or I don't know. But we don't know. We're scared.
Los Angeles Sheriff's deputies traced her phone call. It pinged just 20 miles north of Carson, in Venice. When the family descended to search, another call came in.
She wanted to come home, and that she was going to come home that night, and she never came home.
Weeks later, a third call had a distraught mother waiting 8 hours at a bus stop, waiting in vain.
Who's holding her hostage? Like, who's preventing her from coming home? Who's preventing her from making calls? Who's watching her that she so quickly only had a few seconds to speak?
We are concerned that she may be trafficked, and therefore by a local gang.
You know, human trafficking is a very real and a very scary thing.
Alan and his mother getting before their local city council to publicize Alinka's story.
And I pray for the family. I have not walked in your shoes, but to have a child that's missing, I know it's just heartbreaking.
And getting what they say is rare briefings from the Sheriff's Department.
The detectives have gone out, talked to some friends, talked to some school officials.
And word of a reward that could bring a break in the case.
I would propose that we put up at least $100,000 or more.
Tu cuarto, mi reina.
And if she can get away, Big Brother says love and not judgment is what she'll return to.
No matter what type of situation she may come back with, we will love and support her and help her through all of this.
Until then, he has this one last video.
Me too. We love you.
One he can't bring himself to finish watching.
Because it's hard, and I miss her, and just seeing that kind of like validates like everything that I'm doing, and it's pushing me to just find her and hoping for the best and hoping that she's gonna be okay.
And we do have an update. The City Council did, in fact, approve that reward. They are offering now a $100,000 reward for tips leading to Alinka's safe return, as well as an arrest and conviction of those responsible. The U.S. Marshals have also now jumped on board and are taking a closer look at this case. I want to bring in now Moses Castillo. You heard him just a moment ago. He's a retired police officer. He's also an advocate for the family. Moses, thank you for being with us, for the grassroots effort that you and so others are involved with to try to find Alinka. Every one of these cases is important, and I say every missing person matters. This one, to me, feels different. It feels more urgent, and I think part of it is the fact that we've got these phone calls. In a lot of our cases, we don't have a lot of evidence to go on. We don't know if someone left on their own, if it was under some nefarious circumstance. In Alinka's case, these phone calls are chilling, they're troubling, they're scary. I think let's start there and talk a little bit more about what she said and when these phone calls came in, because it may be our best clues at this point to get her home safe.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. I want to say thank you on behalf of the family. Thank you for getting the message out, because this is what it's going to take. It's going to take one phone call, one tip that has that information that we desperately need to bring her home safely.
So tell me about the phone calls, each one of them. When did the first one come in, and who received it?
Well, we know she left on January 1st. And there's this ring video that you guys showed, and this shows us this male that we're not sure if he's involved in her disappearance, or maybe he's someone who happened to be walking that day. He may have seen something. So we're asking that individual, if he is a neighbor in the area, please come forward to tell us what you saw, because he is approaching her home at the same time she went missing. And then about 2 weeks after that day, the first phone call came in. And again, it says, they don't let me go. I don't know where I'm at. And then dead silence. 2 hours or so go by that same day. Second phone call comes in. And this time, the mom actually spoke a little bit more than allowing Alinka to speak. So the mom regrets that. I since told her, let Alinka do all the talking, because we need her to provide the information we need. But again, she didn't know where she was, and she sounded under duress, and she said, I have to go, and then she hung up. Then about 3 weeks from today, maybe 3.5 weeks, we got the last phone call. On that one, the parents were, the family, they were in Venice area. That's where the ping came back to. And so they were passing out flyers, putting out flyers, and they got the phone call that she says, hey, they're letting me go at 10 p.m., go pick me up at Union Station. And Union Station is the local train station where there's Amtrak, there's all the trains that come in and out from throughout the country to Los Angeles and out of Los Angeles. So at this point, she could be anywhere in the country.
And in those phone calls, Alinka says 2 to her sister, 1 to her mom. They won't let me go. I want to come home, she also said, and she said, I'm being held hostage. Are those 3 all things that she did, in fact, say that they were able to pick up on?
Well, I think it's inferred when she says, they don't let me go. That's where we get the the fear that she's being held hostage. And the fact that she doesn't know where she's at, obviously it's a place she's not familiar with. So yeah, all those things alike. And again, she left her home without anything, no extra clothing, no purse, no ID, no cell phone. And as you know, even us adults, we're attached to our cell phone. And for a teenager to leave that behind is a clue that maybe she wasn't thinking that she was going to be gone. Maybe the fact that it was New Year's Day, maybe she just came out to greet somebody and wish them a Happy New Year and then go back in, but she never came back in.
Yeah. I want to remind people who are watching us on our social media channels now, Moses, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on NewsNationNow.com. As you watch this case and you listen to our conversation, if you have questions about the case, please post them, and I will relay those to Moses as we talk more about that. I have one from Heather that I'll get to in just a moment, but I first want to ask about the concerns around human and sex trafficking. You have a lot of experience in this field. Is that your fear right now, given what evidence we have?
Yes, right now we have local gangs that are trafficking drugs, guns, and teens, minors, and it's a big business. It's a big moneymaker, and at first, maybe the way they approach these potential victims, they promise them a lot of money, a lot of fame, a lot of goods, cars, money, you name it, and they get enticed. But once they're there, totally different. Very abusive, very violent, acts of rape, acts of beatings that they suffer, and power and control is the method here over these victims, and they feel that there's no way out. And I just did with the mom. We actually went to these areas known for these trafficking areas, and it's really sad. It really scared mom, thinking that her daughter could be involved with this.
Oh my gosh, it scares anybody. I don't think you have to be a parent to sympathize with what is going on here. In Alinka's particular case, what does the digital evidence show? I mean, she left her phone behind, so is there access to what's on her phone, who she may have been talking to, if she may have been lured? Any clues there?
There are, but I'm not going to get into them just because I don't want to compromise the investigation. But there are some clues that's being investigated, and now that the marshals are involved, I'm hoping that it'll be a more useful resource for that.
Understood. $100,000 reward. The family wanted that. I know you did as well. How do you anticipate that will impact the case and someone's willingness to come forward and turn in whoever's involved?
You know what? I think that money is going to help big time, because you know what? Doesn't matter how great of a detective you are, you always need the assistance from the public, because someone out there has the key information about her whereabouts, where she's been, who is responsible. All those questions are going to be answered by some individuals, and I'm hoping that this money will motivate them to come forward. They could do that at Crime Stoppers as well, or they could call the Carson station of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
A couple questions from our viewers, Moses. The first is from Sherry, and this is about that phone call, the 3 phone calls that came in. She is asking essentially if those phone calls to her sister and her mom can be traced back to a phone. I know they pinged to an area, but are there any lines that you can draw as to who these phone calls may have been coming from and where?
That's the million-dollar question. Unfortunately, we couldn't link an individual to that particular line. But we did ping it, and unfortunately, it went dead after a while. So it was hard to really locate after it just goes dead, or it's turned off, or maybe they moved on to another phone.
The U.S. Marshals involved, the local police, in addition to yourself. Heather is asking on Facebook, has the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children been asked to become involved, since they work so closely on a lot of these similar cases?
Yes, absolutely. The NCMEC, as we know them, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, is an outstanding resource for families when there's an active case, but also to help you prevent this from happening. That website is a great resource for parents. It helps you gives you guidance and direction how to speak to your children about the dangers of the internet, about how there's a grooming going on the internet, all these predators, and about how to avoid being a victim of abuse. So it's a great resource. I definitely recommend it. But yes, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they have been a part of this from the beginning.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, one, our focus is on getting Alinka home, but two, to remind people that this is a real scary reality up and down pretty much the I-5 corridor and in California, but all across the country, we are seeing cases like this. I've got another question for you. This is from Where the Wind Blows on YouTube. They're asking about, we saw that surveillance video, any other CCTV footage in the neighborhood, other cameras? And you don't have to go into specifics, but have you been able to gather some more evidence on that front?
That's the only video footage we have. We did have a caller call in saying that there was a potential sighting of her in Fullerton, which is in Orange County, just outside of Anaheim. And so we're following up on that lead. Hopefully we could track down some video footage there at a local Chevron gas station and a Dollar Tree store, but that's still in the works. But again, those are some tips that we need. And if that happens to be her, if we do find her on that video footage, we'll definitely let you know. But those are clues that we need, because then it shows us, if it is her, that she's somewhere in Orange County at one point. There might be an Orange County connection. So all these little clues are like the pieces to a big puzzle, and that's what we need.
How's mom doing? We saw her in some of our videos. I just can't imagine putting myself in her shoes. You're in communication with them. What's the status of her emotional roller coaster?
Well, it goes up and down. There's days where she feels hopeful that she's gonna get a great phone call with some great news. And then as time goes on, she gets desperate and more scared. And I'm beginning to feel her fear. And that's part of my motivation. When I meet these families in these horrible circumstances, day in, day out, I give myself permission to feel their pain. And in doing so, it motivates me and inspires me to do whatever I can to help them, to ease that pain. But in this case, I am still hopeful that she's still alive. And please, Alinka, if you hear this message, you just earned and gained a new uncle, Uncle Moses. And I gave your mom this little teddy bear here. It's an LAPD hero teddy bear. It's waiting for you. It's in your bedroom. And I just can't wait to meet you and get you back to your family.
Oh, Moses, you have such a kind heart, and giving up your time for this family and focusing on Alinka's case and safe return. I so thank you for that. I would imagine you have a much different message if somehow someone who is holding her sees this. What would you say to them?
Look, dude, whoever you are, do the right thing. I'm going to appeal to your human side. I'm hoping that even someone like you has a little bit of human side. Take Alinka to a local hospital, firehouse, anywhere where you don't feel any threats. Just drop her off, let her get some medical attention, and then we'll take it from there. And please have a heart and do the right thing and let her go.
I know that you are in contact with the family and you want to continue to give them hope. How optimistic are you, based on your history and experience, that you are closer to finding Alinka?
Well, I got to tell you, just based on other investigations that I participated in, you get a good sense of feel what's happening. And I'm going to be honest with you, I got to a point where I was afraid to make those phone calls to the coroner's office because I was afraid they're going to tell me that they have an unidentified Jane Doe that matches her description. But thankfully, that wasn't the case. All 4 local coroner's offices do not have her. So that information alone is giving me hope that she's out there somewhere. Now, it's true, she could be anywhere in this country at this point.
My final question to you, and this also is to those who are watching, and these cases and these videos, Moses, get shared across the country. So my hope is always that Alinka's face shows up on someone's feed and they've seen her. So the public plays a critical role in bringing people like Alinka home back to their families safely. What is your message to the public, whether it be in Carson or Venice, California, or somewhere else, as to what they need to be looking for and the first steps in a situation like this? If she is with somebody who is putting her life in danger, what do you do in that moment, and who do you call?
You know what? If you study the video that we put out there of her talking to her brother, and the video in her quinceañera and the video in her family, study those really closely, because if you do have any interaction with her, the person that I believe had a sighting in Fullerton, there was some communication, and this person gave her $5, presuming if it's her. So pay attention to the video, because the video is going to give you the best clue. Her hair by now might be a different color. I know on these pictures we have and videos, it's blonde and then goes black. So we don't know what her hair color might be. It might be changed, but she does have a nose pierced, and she also has both her ears pierced. So those are clues to pay attention to. And if you have any suspicion that you ran into her or you see her, dial 911 and tell them that this is a critical missing from Carson, California, and hopefully they'll respond right away. And then you could also call the once you call 911, call the LA County Sheriff's Department Carson Station.
Crime Stoppers also involved. There's a $100,000 reward. Alinka was last seen New Year's Day of this year. Moses Castillo, retired police officer and advocate for the family of Alinka Castaneda. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. I know that you have provided us many updates in the case. Please continue to do so for our audience here at NewsNation and across the country, and for you at home. This is one of those cases I said is more urgent than many. Share it with your social media audience. Get Alinka's face out there. Moses, my best to you and to the family. Please give them a hug for me. If there is a missing person that you think that we should be looking into, a case that you don't think has gotten enough attention, doesn't matter where you live, we cover cases all across the country. Send it to us at newsnationnow.com/missing. Many of the cases come to us from you, the public. You can also send us tips through our NewsNation app. And again, if you see Alinka, whether you're in California or elsewhere, call 911. A $100,000 reward. Her family desperately wants her home. As always, thank you for your attention and your shared passion on covering these missing cases with us. I'm Marnie Hughes in Chicago. I'll be back with you with a new case next week.